I enjoy Invincible. I think it's very fun, but I'd be lying if I said I don't think it looks rather mediocre, and because of that, I think it has an animation problem. For a story that is heavily reliant on massive action sequences, looking so basic and simplistic really doesn't do it any favors. It actively kind of squanders the experience quite a lot, where now you're seeing a lot more people be very vocal about that squandering. The animation not being up to par with what the story is actually trying to convey. Speed, strength, destruction, style, the battle of these very powerful beings just looking very flat. There's a lot of reasons for this, but I think context is very valuable here. The animation industry is incredibly difficult. There's an endless amount of heart, soul, and talent that is poured into this industry that ultimately goes nowhere. This could be financially, this could be because of time, this could be because of horrible business practices or pipelines, instructions, etc., the way things are handled in the studio, and obviously the end goal never meets the standard that a lot of people are happy with, both animators and viewers combined. I think it sucks because a lot of that flack, a lot of that hatred is going to be directed towards those animators. And you know that they could do better. You know that if they sat down and they were given the right amount of resources, the right amount of time, that they would be able to cook something up looking exponential. They would be able to take Invincible to a whole new level. Not only in a technical, graphical sense, but also inspiration, creativity. It's one thing to adapt something extremely well, using all of your experience and all of your animation knowledge to get to that point. It's another to uplift it into something else entirely, to show things in a more creative way, to take the source material and elevate it rather than just retelling it. And that is up to great direction and really experienced animators. And if they're able to have those resources, they will eventually do it. Invincible's animation problem is not the fault of animators, it is the fault of time. Invincible is a long story. The comic book has a lot of source material, and the creator, Robert Kirkman, wants to adapt the entirety of the series, which makes sense. To do something like that, you're looking at anywhere between 8 to 10 seasons. Now, 10 seasons might not sound too bad. If we follow the rate we're at, we could get to the end of the story in 4 to 6 years, which means every year you're getting a season of Invincible. Let's break it down to numbers and why time is so significant in the animation industry. Animating anything on a yearly schedule is probably the most detrimental thing you can do. Invincible produces 8 episodes that are 40 to 50 minute long every single year. Nowadays, anime productions barely even touch that. To an anime equivalent, that's almost 18 to 20 episodes every single year. And you'd be very surprised how many studios are actually producing that amount of material every year in the animation industry. It is not a lot. Animation is time consuming, and trying to produce that much every single year is just not viable. If you want your show to look good and your animators to actually survive this process and to actually have a life, avoiding this is the most common thing. So suddenly the 1 to 10 seasons that it would take to animate Invincible, which at base is 10 years of total, let's say you give it 2 years. That every season of Invincible had 2 years of animation, 2 years of work. Suddenly that 10 years of a whole series getting animated turns into 20 years. 20 years of a singular TV show, and only is highlighted because 2 years is also not enough to produce the amount of content that Invincible wants, both in story and in sheer amount. The bare minimum for something that is like 18 to 20 episodes every year, with the amount of action that a story like Invincible can have, you're looking at minimum 3 years with an experienced team. And obviously if you do 3 years every season, well, you start getting into the ballpark of why would it even matter? Might not even be alive in 25 to 30 years. So to simplify, a lot of material and not enough time. A funny thing always comes with this conversation. I'm like, well, Amazon has like $1 billion. Why don't they just spend more money on this show? And you are correct. Amazon could spend more money on this show, because you always see the argument with the voice actors. They spend so much money on the voice actors and not enough on the animation department. The thing is, money does not exactly correlate to animation quality. They could throw an extra $1 billion at this show, still trying to produce it yearly, and nothing would change, because money will not buy them time. However, what money does buy them is experience. Perhaps they could get more experienced animators, ones that are more accustomed to working on such a strict and detrimental schedule. Perhaps things could look a little bit different. Wouldn't be life-changing, wouldn't be the best animation you've ever seen, but maybe it would look better. You're still working at the cusps of a yearly schedule with so much material, but because of the experience working under such pressure, maybe something could change. Again, it's not viable though. Animators are people and they don't want to work under these conditions. So what would be the healthiest option? If we have all this money to work with, and for whatever reason Amazon was happy to spend even more money, even though they're doing just fine now with the bare minimum, what can be done? Unfortunately, the most simple answer is also the most complex outcome. The team that they currently have for Invincible is not enough. And if they do not want to give that team an extra year or so to produce better content, they need to bring in more teams. So then you look into properly hiring other studios. You have an A studio, a B studio, and a C studio that could work on a whole season every single year. And each department will work on a section of the same season every year. A studio gets the first 3 episodes, the second studio gets another 3 episodes, and the third studio gets the last 2 or 3 episodes. This would be the most beneficial way to do things. You spend a lot more money though, but now you're alleviating a lot of the stress off the animators and are actually giving it to more experienced people as well to help balance out this ginormous task. The biggest issue that comes from this is production pipelines. Being able to navigate between 3 different studios systemically, functionally, without any sort of concern or hiccups or any sort of issues arising, trying to move things smoothly every single year between 3 different studios sounds like an absolute nightmare. It's not to say that it's impossible, but it would take a lot of sophisticated management to make sure everything is in control. So no one gets crossed over certain things, no one's getting confused, everyone knows where they needs to go. They need a director that knows how to handle 3 different teams, which would mean you'd have to spend a little bit more money to have producers or directors on each different team also working with each other above all of it to make sure everyone's on the right track. That is probably the most complicated part about it. If they were to overcome that hurdle, you could actually produce something incredible every single year. And even if things get a little bit too intense for those 3 teams, there's outsourcing, which is what they already do. This is not their own in-house studios, but this is them sending stuff to completely different studios outside of America usually, Korea, China, Japan, etc., whoever wants to take it, so they can work on certain scenes. And I think this is a really smart play, but not utilized enough. I think what would benefit Invincible the most is having 2 studios, an A team and a B team working on this, and then an outsourced studio that would work on massive scenes. The big final fights of the show, big action moments, big set pieces, give them the 8 to 11 months that they need to cook just specifically on those scenes, while Team A and Team B work on the entirety of the show. That'd be 4 episodes each. This is the only thing that money would buy you. More experience, more talent, more people to hopefully work on it, but it also comes with more issues. More things you have to juggle, more pipelines to manage, more people to make sure that are on track. This sounds all very optimistic, right? For the betterment of animators to be creative, to actually make Invincible look fantastic, to have it be a beautiful experience that doesn't last 20 to 30 years, but within the 7 to 10 season time slot that they want. They need more people. They need more experience, and they need to manage the product better. Big glaring problem is that Invincible already is incredibly popular. It's very successful, and it's at the bare minimum. So there's nothing really convincing Amazon, the directors, the bigwigs of this studio, to bother spending more money when they could just produce the bare minimum. If people are happy with Invincible now, they will continue to produce this show the exact same way every single season. They don't have to spend anything more. They don't have to outsource to more experienced people. They don't have to create a whole new B team that could work on the show to help alleviate things, to make it look better. They'll just keep doing what they're doing. And that is a problem in itself. A fundamental one, an ingrained one, a business-orientated one, you name it. It's sad because I think all of us sitting here know that animators could take this so far. Animators could make this look insanely good, and they want to make it look insanely good. Instead, now they're struggling to keep their head above water. They're doing their best while copping the majority of the flack. It's safe to say that we all enjoyed Invincible, and we all know that it could look better. And there's ways for them to do it to make it look better, but they won't. And it has nothing to do with the amount of money that they're spending on high-profile voice actors. It's just their ability to not understand how much work actually goes into this animation, how much more help they actually need. I can almost guarantee that the cost to benefit ratio would very much be viable. If Invincible looked as good as it could, if animators could do the things that they want to do, take the source material and elevate it beyond expectation, just because they have a bit of extra time to work on things, that they're not jam-packed to the brim, working themselves to death, Invincible could be, quite literally, an insane viewing experience. One of the best comic book animated TV shows that you would see on television. And unfortunately, all Amazon would have to do is fork out a lot more money.